This is the question and answer period on Kawartha Lakes Matters. Mayor Andy Letham, I have a question for you. Well, actually, I have a couple of questions for you.
Fire away.
What is happening with ATVs on municipal roads?
Yes, that always gets people's attention, doesn't it? Last year, the province put forward some legislation allowing municipalities to change their bylaws and allow ATVs or ORVs, the bigger ones, on municipal roads if they choose. We don't have to do anything as a municipality, and that's important, but the province sort of gave municipalities the jurisdiction. If you want to open up certain roads to these vehicles, you can now do that. So we thought it was prudent to put together a task force and have a discussion about. We have a lot of trails in our community that allow ATVs in areas where they can go and they can play. And sometimes people, because they're not allowed on certain roads to access those trails, sometimes they cross private property, and they'll cross a farmer's field to get to their trail because they live a concession over or something. So we just wanted to have a discussion about, are there some roads in our municipality that we want to open up to motorized use so people can access parts of the rail trail where, motorized vehicles are allowed. I don't believe, and we'll see what the task force comes back with. I don't believe it means we're talking about allowing ATVs on every road in the city. It's really just, there are certain access points to certain parts of our rail trail, that people could use. And if we can steer them towards certain areas, then maybe we can eliminate a bit of the abuse of private property, which is never a good thing. So we're just having a discussion. The task force has, got a group of community members together. They're going to go out to the public. They're going to get some public input. I mean, there's a lot of people that, we don't allow motorized vehicles in the Lindsay area. So there's a lot of people that want to continue with that. But our rail trail sort of north and south of Lindsay sort of gets cut off at Lindsay. So we've all often talked about, is there some linkage that we can put in place around the town so people can go from south to north or north to south if they choose. And, I'm not sure letting them through the middle of Lindsay is the answer, but if we can allocate a couple roads, where people can utilize if they need it, then that's what we're looking to explore. So it's really just get some community input, see where we want to go, but recognizing at the end of the day, it's just for information at this point. We don't have to change anything that we have in place right now. But we're in a position, if we want to, we now have, the provincial legislation that we can do that. So that's kind of what the task force is in the middle of right now. And it's a touchy subject for people, right? I mean, there's some trails where there's no motorized vehicles and, people have spent a lot of money and, you see kids walking and playing and learning to ride a bike, pushing a stroller, it's a nice, quiet, paved area where they can utilize some trails. And, we start talking about opening them up to motorized vehicles, and it's not a fun conversation with people, but it's important, I think, every few years that we, let's have this conversation and see where we stand as a community. So I think it's more road network than opening up trails at this point, but we'll see what comes back.
Okay, it is the season of snow clearing, and some people may have an actual real mailbox at the end of their driveway. What happens if a snowplow goes by and smacks that mailbox right off of its post?
Yeah, it does happen. Unfortunately, the plows are big vehicles, and when they're out in the middle of the night in a snowstorm, it does happen. They're trying to do their best to utilize that roadway. If your mailbox gets smacked by a snow plow, and you found that it's off its post, give us a call. Give the city a call, customer service. We will replace it. It might be temporary in the winter, a temporary platform until we can get a hole dug in the spring or the summer. But we will certainly, if our plow, if a city plow or a contractor's plow has knocked it off, either the contract will replace it or the city will replace it. We'll certainly do that. But, it's more than just, I think it brings awareness to the fact of how dangerous these plows are, and how big they are in some of our smaller communities and smaller roads. So it does happen. I can assure you nobody does it on purpose. But when you get blowing snow and you can understand they're trying to sort of carve that road as wide as they can carve it so people can drive safely. and it certainly does happen. But I think it kind of leads to, because it happens, parents should also be aware that, don't let your kids build a snow fort at the end of the driveway. It might be where the big snowbank is, from the plow and from your snow blower. But at the end of the day, when the plows are out, they can't see that, right? And same with your garbage and your recycling. Like, just, put it in the roadway, put it in the driveway, off the snowbank, because when the plows do come by, it's they can't weave in and out, or every time there's an obstacle in the way. And we've had a few situations where, kids could be really badly hurt if they're playing inside a snow fort and a plow comes by to clear and has absolutely no idea that they're in there. So just a heads up for parents. It's important. And I think the other thing is the fire hydrants. If you've got a fire hydrant on the end of your property, God forbid you'll ever need to use it, but if it's buried in a snowbank, and the fire department has to show up for some reason, and it takes them 3-4 minutes to dig out a fire hydrant, or 5 minutes, you know what? We don't want to do that. So if you happen to have one on your property, it's there for a reason. Please take the time to, to clear it out and make sure it's accessible in the wintertime, certainly if needed to be so. It'd be hopefully won't be an issue, but if it is an issue, it could make the difference between life and death. So just be careful with those snowbanks. They're a lot of fun. Kids see a big snowbank and it's an instant woohoo, but not always a great idea. So be careful.
Some really good reminders.
Yeah, we got time for one more question, I think.
We do. Okay, what's going on with dock licenses?
Dock licenses. Yeah, you don't really think about docks in this time of year, do we? But
I dream about it.
Yeah, we're going through a process. We're just doing a review. We had a report come in February to committee of the whole. We've referred it back, for the March meeting, just to, we need to license some of our docks. Some of the docks that are on municipal property on the right of way, they need to be licensed, they need to be insured, and we need to make sure that they're safe, right? Because it's a liability to the whole city if they're not. So we're just working through a process to try and figure out a reasonable fee, a license fee. And, what can we do? Our goal is not to pull everybody's dock out who's, some people have had docks for 40, 50 years in a location and have enjoyed it. All we're trying to do is put something in place to make sure that they can enjoy it safely, and they're not putting the rest of the municipality, at a liability if something happens. So we're just working through that process. And it's not a popular conversation to have sometimes, but it's a needed conversation that we need to have, and it's for the good of everybody. So we'll get there, further that conversation and try to put something in place for spring. So good news to come, hopefully. Thank you.